Welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. My name's Mark McNulty, and I'm president of Action Coach Bluegrass. Today, I have Jorge Diaz, co-owner and managing director of Aequitas Power, as my guest. Today, we're going to be talking to him about his business, journey to business ownership, and some of the challenges, best practices of owning a business, and just share a peek into what it's really like to build and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, please be sure to like and subscribe so you get notifications when we drop new conversations just like this one. So Jorge, welcome, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks a lot, Mark. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your background and Aequitas Power.
Okay. I'm originally from New Jersey. I did work for PSE&G in New Jersey for about 11 years. Back in 2005, we decided to move to Kentucky. I got on board working with LG&E KU electrical company in various different capacities. So all total, I got about 30 years of experience in the industry.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about Aequitas Power. Kind of what's your team structure look like? Kind of how are you put together?
Aequitas Power is a emergency restoration and utility construction company. How it came about is basically through the years, you kind of saw where utilities were going from a employee base to more of a contractor base. So they were less employees, utilizing more contractors. Part of the utility industry is what they call mutual assistance. This is where when you have major events with a lot of customers out of power, these utilities would go and use resources from neighboring utilities. Well, once they started migrating from employee base to subcontractor base, you just didn't have enough people. That's when these utilities, subcontracting storm brokers started popping up to fill that void. And from there, just seeing and the capital projects, the reliability projects, just how much of an investment is going into the infrastructure today. There's just so many opportunities for it. So I have 3 partners, combined total. We all have about 70 plus years of industry experience. I'm more of an operations guy. One of my other partners is more of a finance guy. And then we have our operations guy, and he's had about 27 years of nothing but outdoor experience handling, working with union, working with crews. So we have a diverse background.
Yeah. So how about your team? How big is your team?
Well, right now we're mostly going through the IBEW. So it's the 3 of us. We do have 2 steady electricians at this point in time, but the rest of our workforce is as needed basis. We are working to get more what they call blue sky work. That's your everyday work. Once we start getting that, then we'll start having more permanent employees.
Okay. So what possessed you to start your own business? The 3 of you.
Mostly, after 30 years of working, when the utility can make you very comfortable, you live a good life. They treat you well. At least I was treated very well by my employers. So for me, it was more just the opportunity. Seeing how, the contractors are out there, I just felt that I had more to give than the opportunity I was being given.
Okay, awesome. So how did you and your partners find each other?
We all worked together, basically. I was the team lead for the transmission operations department. One of my partners is one of the guys I worked with. And my other partner, Art, worked out in the field. So we were in constant communication since I was the outage scheduler and he was the one that was scheduling the crews. We were in constant communication. It was just a matching of synergies and personalities.
Okay, awesome. So who's your primary target as far as clients? Is it utilities?
Well, since we're based out of Kentucky, one of our main target for work is LG&E KU, who we work for. We are in communication with them now. They seem very interested in having us come back on board since we know they do have a 90-day waiting period from the time you divest from the company to when you can actually start having those communications. So starting in May, we should be able to start having communication. Doesn't guarantee you any work, but knowing the people and having the contact does help.
Right. Okay. So what makes your Aequitas, what makes Aequitas special or different, right? Because there's lots of, people in your space that are competing. What makes you stand out?
I believe it's the industry knowledge. I mean, like I said, when I started thinking about formulating this company, I wanted to have people. I have certain skill sets. Juan has certain skill sets. Art brought certain things. So together we just kind of fill all those blanks. We know how to build a foundation. Art's very good with the field personnel. He knows how to communicate. Like I know how to communicate with field personnel as well. But Art knows the job. He knows what they face and how they do it. So for us, it was that kind of knowledge, our diverse backgrounds, those kind of things I think is what separates us. We have a good foundation. I was big on safety. Everyone, very safety driven industry. So for us, it's just that knowledge and background is kind of a differentiator.
Okay. All right, good. How are you marketing your business? Obviously, you've got a lot of industry contacts.
Marketing is kind of tough for this kind of industry because it's not like you can go out and start handing out flyers and people are going to start calling you. It's more word of mouth, establishing your relationships, reaching out to the people that you are. I mean, like I said, we have almost 70 plus years, so we know a lot of people in the industry. That's kind of like how we got one of our primary companies for our trucks is Alltech. We developed that relationship from the connection we already had. We talked with Alltech, so they've been great with working with us, helping us get our trucks and equipment in. So it's that kind of, it's mostly word of mouth, reaching out, calling people and saying, hey, you remember me? That's pretty much how we're marketing.
Okay. In your industry, that's going to be, using those connections and relationships is going to be the best way. So you started up in January, right?
We actually started, the company actually started in August of 2022, but that's just laying the foundation, getting all your paperwork set up, finding out all the nuances of what's it take to really get this thing rolling. But it was starting in January 31st where we actually divested from our jobs and we're full-time employees of Aequitas Power.
Okay. So since then, how have you chosen to split up the role? You talked a little about roles, but how do you divvy up the work? And you've got three partners, you're all doing work, but you're all trying to, kind of in that startup, get going phase. Kind of how do you communicate?
Well, one thing COVID taught us is that, you don't have to be in the same room to get stuff done. So there's a lot of phone calls. We do a lot of Zoom meetings and things like that. But we knew we had the foundation already going in that I would kind of like be the peacekeeper and, making sure that the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. Art is the operations guy. So he's out there talking to the vendors, getting our tooling, knowing what go, making sure the trucks are all set up and staged up. He's been doing that. Juan's been doing a lot of the finance aspects of it, speaking to, our vendors and things like that. So we have a good division of work, but there are no hard lines. If we need to get something done, we're all there to get it done.
Okay. So in 90 days, you can, apply to get in with LG&E, but what are your goals for the business? Where do you want to see the business 3 to 5 years down the road?
3 to 5 years, we'd like to see ourselves with a steady stream of what we call the blue sky work, everyday work. We're trying to stay away from big projects and deal more with reliability. So right now we have 10 vehicles. Our projections are by the end of this year to be up to 20. So by the end of 5 years, we'd like to see us having a fleet up in the 50s, 60 vehicles, having steady work, a nice combination of being able to do steady work and still do storm restoration work as well.
Okay.
We also have a couple opportunities to venture out and do other work besides, but right now we do the storm work, but we also have electrical services. So we do commercial electrical services, but we also have some drones that are getting ready to come in. So we're going to be doing some aerial patrols, substation inspections. So we'd like to do some reclamation work as well.
Okay, great. So what's the most important thing that you and your partners need to create in your business and your team to be able to achieve that, that growth that you want in 3 to 5 years? What do you see as the keys to that growth?
building everything on a solid foundation. That is one thing from a lot of the people that we have spoken to. There's been a lot of companies that have come in and the growth rate was just too much to handle. So we've spoken, with ourselves, we want to build everything on a solid foundation. And the key to success of what we found in it is just having and getting good quality people that want to come in. I mean, it's a very dangerous work that we do in the utility industry. So we want people that come in with that same mindset that there is no such thing as cutting corners. We're not going to put safety to the side to make a dollar. Safety first, quality over quantity.
Okay, good. So other than your quality focus, what are some other things that you're doing to kind of building into your operations to attract and keep people? What kind of culture are you building beyond obviously the quality and the safety is a big thing in your industry. What other things are you looking at doing around building a culture?
Well, it's interesting you asked that because one of the things I was actually involved with LG&E was it's called employee engagement. So we want to make sure that our employees aren't just coming in here. It's not about the dollar. It's about the environment, having a place that you have opportunities to grow. You have the autonomy to make your own decisions, that the work that you're doing actually has meaning. So that's the kind of environment we want. We want to be in a diverse and inclusive workforce. So I do know certain individuals that work with the veterans. So, we're trying to create that situation there. Our goal is once we're up and established that we actually want to go out to the high schools. We're affiliated with the IBEW 369. They do have an apprenticeship program. One of the things I've always known is, since I've been in this, is not too many people know of the opportunities that exist in working with utilities and utility work. And now there's even more opportunities since you have so many subcontractors out there. I'm big on college, but I don't think college is for everybody. So one of the things we discussed is once we're up and we're fully running, we want to start going out to the high schools and talking to these kids and saying, hey, here's an opportunity. The union workforce, IBEW, they have apprenticeship programs for electricians, substation operators, journeyman linemen. These are careers where, you can go out and you can make six figures in 4 years without incurring the student loan and student debt behind it. I don't ever want to discourage anybody from going to college. But like I said, college is not for everybody. And there are great opportunities that exist here.
Yeah, the trades has really gotten bad rap over the years. And, with everybody being told to, go get a computer degree, and that's just not for everybody. And, we work with a lot of trades companies that offer great careers and, upward mobility, promotions, leadership, management opportunities, all starting day one. And starting day one, you're earning a salary while you're being paid to learn.
And you look, how many electricians, plumbers, they own their own businesses, they conduct. I mean, so it's a great opportunity. And that's what we just want to tell people is, if you can't afford college, here's an opportunity. I did not go to college right out of high school. I started in industry. I did go back and eventually get my college education, but that was more of I want it, not I need it.
Right. Okay. Awesome. I love that. So one of the things that we like to share is challenges or obstacles that we had to overcome. So you kind of got rolling, you spent some time putting things together, and then you got rolling at the end of January. What's been one of the obstacles that you've had to face down and overcome to launch your business and get rolling?
Bobby, the same obstacle most business, but financing. One of the big things is not having the seed money to go out and these trucks they're expensive trucks, but you also, in addition to that, payroll is one of the big things because the union produces quality employees, but when you go out on a storm, you could be facing a payroll in excess of $250,000 $300,000. That's a lot of money to put out while you're waiting to get paid for the investment that you made. So we've been very fortunate. After a year, we did develop a relationship with a bank that's been working wonderfully for us. We did get a capital line of credit. We got some financing for some vehicles. All Tech has been fantastic as well, with equipment financing and on good term rates and stuff. So
Okay.
that was always the biggest challenge that we were facing.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the one that kind of delayed us for the longest was just securing that initial financing.
Right. Because you've got to carry all that payroll costs until you get reimbursed,
Correct.
which isn't always quick.
Well, 30, 60, 90s while you're you're putting out on a weekly basis. So it can get pretty intensive.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So got a couple quick wrap-up questions here for us. So George, what's the key to success for you?
For me, it's drive, having the desire and the passion to keep you motivated day in and day out, even as you see the obstacles presenting it themselves, just having that, I'm going to get up tomorrow morning and I'm going to keep on going.
Okay. All right, great. So what's one piece of advice you would give to other entrepreneurs who are thinking of starting up their own business?
For me, it's making sure that you get a good accountant and a good lawyer. Get those pieces in place before you start signing any documents. Because one of the things that we learned when we were first starting out is that had we done this before we did that, it would have saved us an exponential amount of time.
Good advice. So what's a book that you're reading or listening to that you would recommend other entrepreneurs read or listen to?
That's a tough question. Right now, it's the NIAC codes. It's a National Electric Code for contractors. But I do have a couple of good books that I've read in the past before. It's Leadership for Beginners.
Okay.
And it just kind of lays that foundation on, developing relationships, knowing that, just giving people the autonomy and things like that. So for
Right.
me, that I kind of had those, but it's always good to like hone in and figure out what drives people, because, it's not always money. It's usually finding that balance between work and home that really drives people, and giving them some decision making in their future.
Okay. Awesome. Last question of the day for you. So what inspires you the most?
Anybody that knows me will tell you I'm family driven. So for me, it's my kids. I have a daughter in college, a son who's getting ready to go out of college. Everything I've ever done in my entire life, everybody said, "What did you want to be when you grew up?" I said, "I want to be a father." Well, I'm a father. So everything I do is to provide them with the opportunities that I didn't have growing up, so that they are happy and successful, whatever success defines them.
Okay, awesome. Love that. So, ladies and gentlemen, viewing audience, this has been Jorge Diaz, who is co-owner and managing director of Aequitas Power. And he has shared a little bit about his journey from being an employee to being an employer, being a partner, co-owner of a business, and has shared some tips and ideas and thoughts. I recommend listening to this a couple times to pick up on the multiple things Jorge shared with us today. Jorge, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me, Mark. It's been a pleasure.
All right. So this has been the Business Spotlight series, and make sure to subscribe and follow us so that you can see all the conversations that we dropped as we continue to get the word out about all the fabulous Louisville businesses. Thanks. Bye for now.